One of the most common questions I get from people, and one that's literally my full-time job, is answering the question of how can I retire early or reach work optional, and what is the best way to plan for it? So today I want to break it down for you, and I'll be real with you because there's always going to be the sexy approach, and then there's going to be what actually works. And what works is not going to be the stuff you see in sensational news headlines or viral videos. It's based on the fundamental principles that you're going to learn in this video. So let's dive right in. If we haven't met yet, my name is Matt. I'm a certified financial planner and advisor with 1 Degree Advisors. I make videos on here to help you reach work optional. Okay, so here's the simple math behind being able to retire early. You either have to, number one, have saved a lot of money, or number two, have very little need for lots of money. And the ideal situation is obviously having a good combination of the two. But at the most basic level, those are the only two things that matter as far as a starting point before we even dive into the preparation and planning for an early retirement. So if you're in that ballpark or getting there, there are really 5 essential things to plan for, which we're going to go through in this video. Okay, so one of the biggest obstacles in early retirement is what I call lifestyle creep, or some people call it lifestyle inflation. It's basically the tendency to spend more as your income grows or as life goes on. And one of the hardest things for people to do is to be happy with what you have or keep your standards of living relatively constant over time. And when you create a plan for yourself, the reality is that life is a lot messier than a spreadsheet, and we want to factor in this lifestyle inflation into your expenses over time because, as we know, life is not exactly linear. But here's what's important for you to understand. It's easy for lifestyle creep to take over when you don't know where your money is going. If you don't know how much money goes towards extra expenses each month, you can overspend without even really realizing it. But I made an expense spreadsheet that you can use for yourself, and you can find that right down there in the show notes. The second thing that it really takes to retire early is that you need to get your priorities straight. After talking with enough people in their 30s, 40s, 50s that like the idea of retiring early, I rarely, if ever, get the feeling that people want to just stop working altogether. What they really want to do is set their own terms on the kind of work they would really want to do. It's not so much that they want to retire early and pull the plug right now, but they do want the financial flexibility to pursue work that really interests them. So oftentimes that looks like either exploring another form of early retirement, which is really just finding a job that doesn't feel like a job or doing something that makes you happy. And that's where we can model those things like, what's the minimum amount of income that I need to earn, or what's the monthly withdrawal amount I now need from my investments to essentially supplement my income if I go with a decision to work less or find a different job. Okay, so the third thing that matters when you want to be able to actually retire early is to keep your options open. And that means either developing or having enough marketable skills to be able to make yourself very, very employable in case something goes wrong, or you try this early retirement idea out and you realize that, you know what, you just like to continue working, just not in your current role. And the way I've really seen this work in practice is sometimes taking a sabbatical or maybe even a mini retirement, just maybe to try it out. And then maybe just doing some consulting rather than working full time. The way that I look at it is that having your financial affairs in order gives you that flexibility to pursue the type of work that makes you happy, and it keeps you driven and ultimately provides you with the most satisfaction in life. Okay, number 4 is that you need to plan for longevity. The average life expectancy continues to rise, so you'll have to take this into account when considering an early retirement, because if you retire in your 40s or 50s, your investments could have to last for another 4 decades or so. And your retirement years could actually end up even being longer than what your working years were or are. You really want to have a strategy to account for this so that you're not in your 90s and running out of money, but also not absolutely depriving yourself and being so fearful of running out of money that you're miserable in retirement. Okay, now let's talk about some of the more boring considerations that no one wants to hear when dreaming about an early retirement, but ones that are absolutely critical if you're really serious about this. Okay, first, and I'm going to state the obvious here, but you need to have an income strategy. Now, depending on when you retire, you'll likely need your taxable investments, aka your non-retirement savings, to essentially carry the load until you're age 59 and a half and able to draw down your deferred retirement accounts such as an IRA or 401k without incurring that 10% early withdrawal penalty. You also have to wait until your early 60s to start receiving Social Security checks. So you need to start with your income. Second, if you quit your job and don't have a spouse that continues to work, you're on the hook for your own medical costs, essentially until Medicare kicks in during your mid-60s. And this can be quite pricey and an expense that you will want to factor into your plan. I actually have a link in the show notes from Vanguard that might be able to help you get a better ballpark estimate for what that pre-Medicare healthcare could cost for you and your family. You can check that out below in the show notes. Thirdly, I would say probably one of the bigger financial goals, in addition to the simple steps we laid out earlier, would be to have all your debts paid off. That means no student loans, maybe even no mortgage, no car loans, and no outstanding credit card debt to allow for you to have the most maximum flexibility. Now you can still retire early without debt, but I would make this a big priority of spending this down when you're planning out your early retirement. At the end of the day, my whole philosophy on this channel is about being in a spot, both financially and mentally, where you have the flexibility to pursue a life that truly makes you happy and fulfilled. But you can take this too far and you can get burnt out and continue saving even though you're already in a position to retire early or take your foot off the gas. So I made a video on when you should actually consider putting a stop to your savings as you prepare for an early retirement. You can watch that by clicking right here. Again, this is Matt. I'm a certified financial planner and advisor with 1 Degree Advisors. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you did find any value in this video, hit that subscribe button. That way you can hear from me every Saturday right here on YouTube. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next one.